What if your AI assistant didn't just talk to you, but actually did things for you? Sent your emails, managed your calendar, ran shell commands, negotiated your insurance dispute. Well, that's not science fiction. That's OpenClaw, a new revolutionary AI technology. Welcome back to Inside AsembleAI's YouTube channel. You must be thinking, why I'm coming solo? Well, our team bringing a fresh new series on YouTube tutorials. In this series, Mac and I will bring some AI use cases, some hands-on experience that you can take away and apply in your daily work or even professional and personal work. So let's get on with this OpenClaw. In this vlog, I'll show you what is OpenClaw, what's the architecture diagram looks like for OpenClaw, and some of the AI use cases related to that new technology. Now back to OpenClaw. In just 8 weeks after launch, OpenClaw went from a weekend WhatsApp relay script to one of the fastest growing open source projects in GitHub history, surpassing 180,000 stars in early 2026. Andrej Karpathy called it the most incredible sci-fi takeoff adjacent thing I've seen. Well, definitely, we cannot argue with that. I was reading a story where I've seen that thousands of Chinese people made a queue in front of a computer center just to know how to install OpenClaw on their laptops. That's fascinating, right? And here's the thing. OpenClaw is not just a chatbot. It's a local gateway process, a long-running background service that runs on your own machine or a VPS. That gateway connects to messaging platforms you already use. It could be WhatsApp, it could be Telegram, Signal, Slack, Discord, doesn't matter. It supports more than 80 messaging services, and it routes every incoming message through an LLM-powered agent that can take real action in the world. Means you can literally talk to your messenger over phone, and behind the scene, an LLM is going to parse your message and process that and do some action based on your voice command. That's really fascinating. You can literally operate anything from anywhere. So that's the power of OpenClaw. Now, in the next section, I'm going to dive into the OpenClaw architecture diagram because I know there are some YouTube watchers out there who are really interested to know about how OpenClaw runs behind the scene. So let's go to the next section to find it out more. Welcome back to the second section. Here, I'm going to dive deep into the OpenClaw architecture. As I mentioned in the previous section, more than 80 platforms, I would say messaging platforms, are currently supporting OpenClaw architecture, which is massive. Just look at the number, more than 200,000 GitHub stars. Peter Steinberger, the person who is behind the scene of this OpenClaw, who developed that. And I think that guy currently working from OpenAI. So now let's kind of just go to this OpenClaw architecture step by step. Let's start off with the channel layer 1, which is channel adapters. What it does, it just normalizes every input before the model even sees it. There are platforms that supports OpenClaw right now. The famous ones are like WhatsApp, Telegram, Slack, WeChat, and there are 80 more platforms that are supporting OpenClaw right now. What it does in this channel adapter area, let's say you're talking to on a messenger and you give some command to that WhatsApp messenger to do something and kind of propagate the information to OpenClaw. So this is the layer where sender ID extraction happens. It captures your information, your message body, started parsing it. If there is some attachment there, it also handles the attachment. If it is some sort of a voice command that you're passing, it transforms that into textual formation so it can pass it on to the next layer. Now, what's the output of this layer? Markdown, which usually converts into rich text, code block render, media send, and streaming replies. So it literally transforms your voice or textual command into a Markdown format, which will be easily readable by the next layer. Now, the second layer, gateway control plane. What it does? It basically helps with routing, sessions, authentication, command queue. Think about it's more of a near networking layer for the OpenClaw. It's run on a single long-running processes. It has some WebSocket clients. Whoever watching this video if they're from the networking background, they would understand what is happening in this particular layer where they're routing the messages to different channels. And this is where actually you have to connect your OpenClaw architecture to proper routing areas or the configuration so it can interact through your messaging system and kind of like responds back to your commands. So there are a lot of other information such as multi-agent routing also happens here, webhook or cron triggers. Also, agent-to-agent handoff happens here. If you are creating your OpenClaw architecture based on a multi-agent system, this is where we have to make those adjustments. Now, moving on to the layer 3, agent runtime react loop, the intelligence agents that reason, act, observe, and repeat. So think about this is more of like where the agentic system works within the OpenClaw architecture. The context assembly basically consists of base system prompt, compact skill index, bootstrapping context files, per ran overrides, memory entries, so on and so forth. So this is where basically the agentic system works within the OpenClaw. It invokes the LLM models from different providers, Claude, GPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, doesn't matter. OpenClaw is pretty much LLM model agnostic. So either you can use some standard foundation models or you can also utilize some open source models downloaded from Hugging Face or Olama. So now once this agentic system gets built out, the main tool execution parts that revolves around this layer is that file read route, shell commands, web browsing search. So whatever the commands that you're passing through your voice or textual command, through WhatsApp or other messenger, those commands are getting kind of executed over here. And LLM kind of like reacts to those commands and decide how they're going to actually manage those commands and carry out those executions acts. Now the layer 4, which is the next layer, where it's more of like, I would say, an on-demand instruction loading. Like if you want to pass some explicit instructions, some natural language instruction, some tool configuration file, or even you want to train the agentic system with some domain-specific playbooks, this is where you are going to customize that. There's few things such as Claw Hub community registry, custom handwritten configuration file, injection risk, those kind of stuff can be set up over here. There's something called a lazy loading pattern also operates here, which is nothing but compact index in prompt, name, description, all kind of stuff. I'm not going to go down that details. This is more of for AI engineers, LLM engineers to figure out. But this is what that's layer 4 is very useful for OpenClaw architecture standpoint, because it helps with processing the on-demand instructions, manuals, or any domain-specific context that our OpenClaw architecture needs to process. Moving on to the MCP tool layer. This is very important, right? Like think about that, your OpenClaw architecture needs to talk to like a lot of different systems, right? How do they interact? How do they interact with your Gmail server? How do they interact with your GitHub server or any other messaging platforms or anything like, let's say you do have your own local server within your, personal lab, and you want to connect that server to your OpenClaw architecture. How do you do that? Well, you use Model Context Protocol, and that Model Context Protocol execution happens in this layer. And then how this MCP works, just a few liners. What happens is the server exposes type tools. Agent discovers schemas, standard request format, then they capture some structure result back, and then agent kind of like, follows that one. Some of the MCP server providers that you can integrate with your OpenClaw architecture is Google Calendar, Notion, GitHub, or Jira, custom internal APIs. Also, from security standpoint, you can do a lot of stuff like you can implement session-based sandboxing, pre-tool policy config. And some of these architectural like components could be useful for networking and security standpoint, right? Because you also need to make sure you have a security layer that's sitting on top of your MCP tool layer and kind of like tracking all the traffics, constantly. So that way you can reduce any, risk of getting hacked or any bad actor injection. Now move on to the final section, which is memory and persistence. Local Markdown file, private, on demand, totally in your control. Think about this way, that you have a couple of Markdown files that constantly capturing logs from the OpenClaw architecture. like agent name and personality, tone and communication style makes it feels like your assistant. So it will constantly capture those logs, and also kind of like retrain your Markdown file. You can definitely come up with a set of Markdown file at the beginning, but also you should train your OpenClaw to kind of captures those logs in the Markdown file, and that OpenClaw agent will get trained on the interaction. Similarly, memory.md. Think about it's more of your memory chip, like it's long-term facts about you, preference, habits, recurring instruction, and also kind of like capturing all those tech stack that revolves around the OpenClaw architecture. Like I mentioned, daily logs. It also should interact or should have all the information such as daily logs and capturing this information in the database. So in case things go south, you can always go back to those daily logs and find out what exactly happens at a certain time, because your OpenClaw architecture will run on a cron schedule. So you're going to run monthly, weekly, and stuff. So you need to capture some logs. So that's all from the architecture standpoint. There are 6 architectures. Just to kind of like reiterate that: ingestion, routing, context assembly, model inference, tool execution, and delivery. So these are kind of like 6 phases of OpenClaw architecture that propagates the information, starting from you're talking to your messaging providers, and that information gets propagated through routing, context assembly, get processed or trained by LLM agents, and eventually follow the command and carry out the task that you're asking that OpenClaw architecture or OpenClaw system to do. You can always set it up. Think about it in this way. It will be your personal AI assistant, sending some emails out, doing some work on a daily or weekly basis based on an architecture that is predefined. And that's also something that you can control utilizing some Markdown file and also making some tweaks in your agentic architecture. So hope you like this architecture overview. Now let's move on to the next section to wrap up this. So you must be thinking, what are people actually doing with this OpenClaw architecture? Let me give you 4 use cases. Use case 1, personal productivity automation. This is the most common starting point. Users configure OpenClaw as a persistent personal assistant accessible through Signal or Telegram or WhatsApp, and the underlying agent can read and send emails, schedule and reschedule calendar events, and do a lot of daily tasks for you. Second use case, developer workflow. Think about that developers are using OpenClaw. Build agentic coding pipelines by connecting it to GitHub via custom skill and giving it shell access. So that OpenClaw agent will help the developers by reviewing some pull requests, post structure feedback directly to GitHub, run some sort of code execution to review and fix code, kind of like from debugging purposes. Also execute some scripts and return outputs in line as the developer wants on a daily, weekly, or even monthly basis. Use case 3, real negotiation and disputes. Think about that, an OpenClaw agent representing you to talk to your insurance agent to kind of help you in negotiating some claim amount, or even like helping you to dispute something. Maybe it can also talk to your lawyer to help, explain your cases better to your personal lawyer, which you might not be able to do that properly. And the 4th use case is multi-agent pipelines. Power OpenClaw users are building networks of specialized agents, one for their personal communication, one for their work task, one for home automations. So you can literally create multiple gateways by utilizing OpenClaw's session tools, connecting them to my MCPs or model context protocols layers, and do multiple stuff at the same times. So this is really fascinating. And think about those use cases. So that's all kind of for today. Think about OpenClaw, how it represents something genuinely new, an AI agent that lives on your hardware, speaks through the apps you already use, and actually acts in the world on your behalf. Peter Steinberger didn't build a beta chatbot. He built the scaffolding that turns a powerful language model into a capable digital employee. And by open sourcing it, he gave every developer the blueprint to succeed by using OpenClaw. That's all for today. Stay tuned for our next episode covering some AI use cases or toolkits that you would love to know about. Thank you.